Good morning. For those who do not know me, my name is Jeff, and I'm a lifelong friend of Calvin. It was with great sadness that I stand in front of you today. Calvin's life was taken away from us way too soon, and it's hard to understand why such tragic things happen like this to such good people. However, this is a day without an answer, and we should not dwell on the loss of our dear friend, husband, son, and brother. Today, let's celebrate his life and remember Calvin and what a wonderful life he had. Calvin and I met as friends in a small town in South Dakota, Beersford. I'm not quite sure at what age we met, since Calvin's family lived a long ways away, a mile on the other side of town. Calvin's brother Ed was in my grade, and Calvin was a year older, and I think we first got to know each other when they moved more into the middle of town on Main Street. Ed was the youngest of 4 boys, and Calvin was next. Jim and Leon was the oldest. So 4 boys for their parents, Ray and Avis, to raise. Poor Avis having to feed and clean up after 4 boys, but she loved it. Calvin and Ed were always a lot of fun to be around and play with. They loved sports, music, and Swan Lake. In high school, Calvin played football, basketball, and golf, and he also played baseball in the summertime. He was a pitcher. I remember he had a big curveball, and he was always getting his arm sore and put Bengay on his arm. The dugout always smelled like Bengay. So, on top of everything else, Calvin's family shared a cabin at Swan Lake, we mentioned, and Cal also water skied and fished, so he was a very big sportsman and did a lot of everything. There was always a lot of friends and family at Swan Lake at the cabin, plus there was Wednesday night bands in the summer at the Swan Lake Pavilion. Needless to say, high school years were fun and exciting for Calvin. After high school, Calvin worked for a year, then went to college at USD, that's University of South Dakota. I was a grade younger than Cal, so we entered college as freshmen together. There was more fun in college going to football and basketball games, and I was finally persuaded to join a fraternity house, and I moved in my junior year, but Cal didn't want to be a frat rat. And he came to the parties, and he later moved into the Delt House, not as a member, but people loved him so much. They wanted him to be around. So there was always parties and beer and pool in college, and what else could a person want? Of course, we had to study once in a while, and Kel and I would get out of the Delt House and walk a couple blocks to a local church that catered to students, and we'd make some coffee and study in the basement. After college, I moved to Phoenix to look for work, and Calvin moved in with me for a couple months later. We had lots of fun exploring the new territory, and we would hike Pinnacle Peak every Sunday morning and get a good view of the city. During the work week, we would go on the local park and we'd play pickup basketball games. Kel decided he wanted to work with his hands, and he moved to LA and worked with his cousin David and became an electrician. I moved to Central California, but we still saw each other quite often on weekends. When I got married and had children, we didn't see each other quite as often, but there was always that bond that can't be broke. We last saw each other at Tehachapi at Cousin David's cabin. That was a year ago, and it was like old times again. We golfed, fished, kayaked, and drank beer and watched football. What a great weekend that was. Calvin will be missed by all lives he touched, and today let's remember Cal and celebrate his life together.
Hey everybody, I'm Bob Hoffman. This is for Calvin. He left us doing the two things he loved most: spending time with his wife Remy and being with his animals. He liked to call me when he was walking his doggies and let me know how good retirement was. Cal had a gift for gab, we all know. He used words continually. He could talk about anything, even if you didn't enjoy the topic. If you loved the topic, you could not stop Cal from talking. He absolutely loved that. He always had a smile on his face. He was a great encourager for me. He supported me in my decision to pursue an inspection job at LUSD. The last couple of years have been so much fun. Meeting all of you guys and reuniting with Cal. He always spoke of his loving wife, his family and his animals. Cal loved his rock concerts. I'm just so happy I was able to go to these concerts with him. We saw Peter Frampton. We saw Steve Miller. We saw Bob Seger in his last concert. We saw Fleetwood Mac, Santana. We saw the Eagles together. And let's not forget, Cal's favorite, the Doobie Brothers. The Doobie Brothers. Every time the Doobie would be in town the last couple of years, we'd say, "Bob, the Doobie Brothers are in town." Oh, okay. Did we just see them? Guess we're going again. We went off. It was always an adventure. We walked away from Cal and holler. He was a different guy at rock concerts. Yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering. It was amazing. But most of all, he always had a wonderful, happy-go-lucky attitude. I never saw him upset. That's my Cal.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm Ed's cousin. And what I was going to talk about pretty much has been talked about already. And I would like to go into a little more detail, but it would take way too long. But Cal excelled in life, everything he did. And he was loved by everybody. When everybody says small town, by my standards, coming from South Dakota, was one of the larger towns in the state. We had over 1,200 people, and that was something. And Jeff is wrong. It wasn't a mile away, Jeff. Our town wasn't even a mile long, so but it seemed like a long way. You all know Calvin played basketball and everything, but you probably don't know this little fact that during the championship game of the regional finals in the state, Beresford was down by 1 point with 4 seconds to go in the game. And Cal got the inbound pass at midcourt. He turned, he shot, and he sank it. Not really, it's a good story. He could have did it. He could have. So anyway, I'm going to miss Cal. Also, Leon wrote a letter. His brother, his oldest brother, couldn't be here. And I'd like to read that to you if I could. This is reflections from Cal's brother Leon. It is with shock and sadness that I am writing about the loss of my brother Cal. This community water. Sorry about that. Us Messlers are pretty emotional guys, and bear with me, okay? There will be such a huge void in the days forward because we were so close and had so many great times during our lives together. There were at least 1 to 2 phone calls every week when we would share our thoughts of recent events. The family times that we had growing up at Swan Lake, the times that we went to the Black Hills to camp, and to attend the Sturgis Bike Rally, or the trips to Moon Dance Jam in Walker, Minnesota were all special. Calvin always expressed how much he loved his wife, Remy, brother-in-law, Javier, and family. He had a special gift for taking care and loving their furry kids, his awesome parrot, Frisco, turtles, and 2 bearded dragons. My dachshund, Woody, was so attached to Calvin that he would wait for Calvin to come visit or come home so that he could sleep with him in bed. I'm so thankful that Calvin and brother Ed could return to South Dakota for our mother's, Avis's, 90th birthday open house on January 2nd. Our brother Jim's birthday visit, Jim's birthday was January 1st. They went to visit him at Lake Park, Iowa, and my birthday party on December 30th. The fun that we had with friends without minutes to spare. Yes, Calvin, you are dearly missed. But I am certain that you are living in heaven eternally. Calvin was baptized and confirmed in church. He was called by God too soon, but now he is celebrating with his dad, Ray, and other family believers in heaven. We still grieve your absence from our world, but we know that you are looking down on us with a smile. We know that someday we will join you in eternity. God bless you, Calvin, always and forevermore.
Hi, everybody. I'm one of Gal's cousins, many cousins. My name is David Messler. I'm kind of overcome with grief, but I'm going to try to be strong. And I just remember all the good times we had together. And still can't believe that it's true. Hey, Cal and I, sorry if I jump around a little bit, it's because of Bob hitting bumps on the road here, right? She's, sorry about that. Hey, Cal and I, we grew up together for over 64 years. I'm a month and a half older than him. But he was born on November 1st. That was the cutoff day, so he was a year behind me in school always. But we all, I don't know if y'all, I can't remember what was said before, but we grew up, our 3 dads were in business together, and we lived 3 houses in a row on a street, called it Messler Block or Messler Lane. But everywhere you went in town, our dads were contractors, and Calvin's dad did TVs and appliances, washers, dryers, everything. He repaired everything and fixed it. My dad and Claire's dad, they were partners in business at plumbing, heating, air conditioning, electrical. So all of us kids grew up in the business, working for our dads, part-time, because whenever they needed help and stuff. But we were very close, just like how 3 houses in a row. If you go to one house, your mom didn't give you cookies, you'd go to the next house. So then my dad used to go send sheriff outside sometimes and start giving haircuts, and any kid that walked by got a crew cut. We had a lot of fun, and our dads built a cabin at this lake, and it was built out of an old drive-in, restaurant thing that got tumbled in a tornado, and they put it there, rebuilt it, and added on to it, and then they bought it. They probably got it for free, I'm sure. Hauled an old chicken coop away, and they turned that into a boathouse with a bunkhouse on top for all the kids. But every summer, the 3 families would take turns, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, stay, the mom and the kids, the dad would come, drive back to work, it's only 26 miles. We'd have friends come and stay, but on the weekends it was open house, like anybody could come, so it's got to be a madhouse, We had so much fun. I remember our dads saying, you know, just jokingly, we're all swimming, fishing, boating like crazy. You wouldn't, like 30 people in the water probably. All this. But they'd say, I wonder what the poor people are doing today. You know, not that we were rich, but just I wonder what the poor people are doing today, because we must be rich, because it doesn't get much better than this. Sorry. Anyway, hey, when Cal was a kid, he loved playing, let me get back on track. He loved playing sports and pretty much excelled at everything. He became quarterback in the high school football team, like was already said. He was a pitcher playing baseball. And basketball, he's like a cross between Larry Bird and Dennis Rodman. He was, you know, when he was in grade school, you could find him all the time shooting hoops at the grade school, you know, until it got dark. He was always looking for a basketball game and stuff. And even when he came to California, he'd go to the local parks and, you know, play basketball with whoever, and sometimes he'd come back with a bloody nose or something, but he'd be back there the next day and, you know, let him out. He wasn't afraid of nothing, you know. And then, hey, when they were, even in their yard at home, they had 2 bare spots always in their yard from Cal, and they had to play and catch, or throwing the football or something, but, you know, big, like, 6-foot diameter bald spots in their yard. They could never get grass to grow there. And Cal, you know, in their whole life, Cal's a year and a half older, but they'd always be wrestling on the living room floor, you know, and at first Cal could control Ed, you know. Ed's attacking all the time. But years went by, Ed got bigger, and it was pretty much a toss-up, you know, after that. And later, when Cal was in basketball in high school, Ed, you know, excelled in wrestling. He was real good, and it's partially probably because of all the training Cal gave him for the years. I'm so sorry. And Cal loved his wife very, very much, and she loved him. Cal's always been well liked and a good friend to everyone. He was my best friend. After he graduated from college, you saw it before, he went to Phoenix with Jeff, and then here's some stuff maybe you don't know. He worked for our dad's business, right? Like all the rest of us. Excuse me. He worked for a roofing company for a while, you know, hauling everything up on the roof and learning how to roof. He worked for a company drilling water wells out on the Indian reservations. And it was his friend's dad's business, you know. And then out in Phoenix, after he got out of college, him and Jeff went to Phoenix, and he worked at a sporting goods store, and he also, one time, he even had a job going door to door selling meat in Phoenix. So they had a freezer truck, going cold call knock on doors. Would you like to buy some steaks? That's, I think, when he decided to come to California. And then he started, in 1981, I think he moved to California. He lived with me in my condo in Tarzana. We worked together at, you know, a few electrical contractors. And then I got a job with LUSD as a maintenance electrician, and maybe a year later, Cal joined me. So we've always worked together, you know, somewhat, you know. And we both worked over 30 years. Cal retired May of 2018, like almost 2 years ago when I retired last May. So I followed him. He was always telling me for a year, why don't you retire? Why don't you retire? I don't know, I should have, I guess, but I'm glad I am now. But over the years, we've had a lot of fun together with Ed and our families back in South Dakota, and I always look forward to spending time with Cal. And I was looking forward to spending time with him over at least the next 20 years. Cal lived a good life. He's well liked and loved by everyone. whenever Cal was present, you were having a good time. He was just so laid back and easygoing. You know, everybody loved him, you know. Even his, when he was in the maintenance area and he came to inspection, everybody was sad, you know. The guys he worked with, everybody was like, you know, really upset. A lot of them, I talked to them and they were upset, you know. I miss his smiling face very much and pray I'll get to see him someday again soon. Anyways, Cal was a good guy. He was an honest person. He was a friend to everybody, even the contractors that are, you know, be tough or whatever. He would just shine it off and take it easy, buddy. You know, he didn't get revengeful or angry at him or nothing. And at work, he always tried to do his job. He was always there. He didn't screw up. Oh, I forgot. He was in bowling with Steve Wessels, a bunch of guys on the district bowling league, and he was a great foosball player. He always wanted Cal when we were kids, you know. You always wanted him on your team. He was a great player, you know. But everything he did, he was a sports nut. He'd come over to his house, he's always reading the newspaper, the sports page, knew all the statistics, both him and Ed. But he just, he didn't want to be a professional ball player, I think, you know, like most kids do. But he was just a good soul. And I'm going to miss him a lot. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pastor David Orlowski. Before I share a story from Scripture, let me just say this. I'm of the belief that right now, shining in brilliant light is Cal, who's joined us and is here with us. And he might not remember, but he and I went to the Doobie Brothers and Santana at the same time. So my wife and I read you and such. Let me share, he had a few nephews, more than a few, but from Ed and Karen, Josh, Robbie, and Tommy. And they had some stuff they wanted me to share for them. And so from Josh, do you have a day in your life that you would like to erase from your memory? I do. January 10th, 2020 was the day I'd longed to forget. I lost my dearest uncle that day, who was more like a second father to me. He was such a great human being, so kind-hearted, always happy, and rather in that rare, larger-than-life character, a pillar that supported everyone from family to friends. Such a huge loss has definitely created a vacuum, one that suffocates me every time I think of him. I have so many fond memories with which I will cherish forever. So here is a tribute to the one of the best people I ever knew. You will be much missed, and we all love you, Uncle Cal. Love, Josh. From Robbie, it saddens me to know that our Uncle Cal's life has ended far too soon. I am incredibly happy to share so many fond memories with Cal. Growing up, we always loved hanging out with him, whether we were fishing, playing in the pool, and especially bowling. We would always try to mimic Cal's finesse form, but never could quite get the same results as he could. When our family spent time with Cal, his positive energy was always contagious. He always lifted everyone up around him with that joyous, calm, and loving demeanor. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned from Cal is to take care of your brothers by showing love, respect, and being there for one another. Seeing the strong bond between Uncle Cal and my dad growing up inspired me to try to be that same role model for my brothers, the same way he was that role model for my dad. Every one of us has ever had a chance to meet Cal and experience his genuine love and positive attitude are better people for it. I know his light will continue to shine through those who are carrying on his joyful attitude and loving nature that simply was contagious. And then from Tommy, I feel so lucky that I was given an uncle as cool as Cal. He came to so many of my birthdays and special events throughout all my life. I couldn't be more thankful. He was always smiling and brightened every room he walked into. I will forever be grateful to Cal, my uncle, that he was in our life. I love you, Cal. Before we go on to hear from Ed and perhaps Bremen, if there's someone that just needs to say something, this would be a brief moment to do that. Otherwise, Ed, you can come in.
Thank you for coming this morning. Our families appreciate you being here. I love the way this place is packed out. Kel and I were not only brothers, but he was one of my best friends for over 62 years. He was almost 2 years older, but we were only one grade apart in school. We always ran around together with the same friends all through our school years. Kel was a mentor to me in so many ways. In a small town of under 2,000 people, we had many of the same teachers and coaches. He would give me advice and suggestions to help me be successful. Kel loved all sports, especially football, basketball, baseball, and bowling. As his teammate, I witnessed him achieve the Beersford's Youth League's highest bowling average for the season. He was very proud of this accomplishment. In high school, our dad would drive us 5 hours to a Minnesota Twins or Vikings game in Minneapolis and take time to visit our cousins who lived there. Thinking of these road trips reminded me of the fact that Kel would often get car sick. So anytime we would travel an hour or more in a car, our dad would make sure to pull over and take frequent car breaks en route to our destination. Fortunately, Kel and I outgrew this trait. I could go into greater detail, but I'm going to stop that. There are so many fond memories that I have of Cal. I'd like to share a couple of stories with you. Beersford is this very small town, very tight-knit. Everybody knew everybody, like a fishbowl. The students often played more than one sport. Cal was 6'1" in high school and excelled in basketball. He loved to remind me of the fact that his high school basketball coach, Jim Slinton, referred to him as their secret weapon. He must have been proud of this fact because he kept reminding me of it for many, many, many years. Sometimes we referred to Kelvin as the Kelvinator, which happened to be the name of our refrigerator. His other nickname was Keldine Levine, and in college we loved to tease him with that because it sounded so cool. He laughed when we'd call him that, either one of these names. In 1968, Kel and I played in a baseball tournament in Sioux Falls. Even though he was only 12, he set a tournament record. He got 7 base hits, including a home run, and only 7 plate appearances. I gotta get some water in my mouth. He was so proud of these efforts and shared with me that one day he would like to be a professional baseball player. I said, yeah, right. And we laughed. In 1974, my brothers and I honored our parents' 25th wedding anniversary by serenading them as a musical quartet, singing I Want a Girl, Just Like the Girl That Married Dear Old Dad. We were all very close and involved in music, in the church choir, as a family, and Kel loved to sing. During the long, cold South Dakota winters, Kel and I spent many hours bowling and playing foosball with our friends. He was definitely the bowler in the family. As an adult over the years, He continued to bowl on several teams while living in the San Fernando Valley, about 30 miles from where we live. In 1985, when Karen and I were married here at La Cañada Press, Kel was one of my groomsmen. He welcomed Karen into our family with open arms. We only lived about 30 minutes away from Kel and Bremy when I would see him, talk to him on a regular basis. He was always a part of our immediate family. Kel would make sure to attend birthday celebrations, high school and college graduations. In 2015, he took an entire day off work to attend my grad school graduation, which meant a great deal to me that he cared so much to do that. Kel had a very close relationship with our 3 sons, Josh, Robbie, and Tommy. He liked to hang out with the boys in the man cave and talk about sports teams and watch games together. Kel remained very close to our mom and brothers who still live in South Dakota. He and I would go back to visit them every July together. He would go fishing, boating, golfing, and take a concert in with our brothers Liam and Jim. Just 2.5 weeks ago, we were back there to celebrate my mom's birthday, my 90th birthday, and Leanne and Jim's birthday as well. We spent New Year's Eve with very close friends from high school and family friends in Beersford. Kel was kind and caring and a friend to everyone. These memories I will cherish in my heart forever. And I love him very much, and I will never forget him. May God bless him.